Are you waiting for a flood of foreclosures to buy a property? Because we'll take a look at some data to see if that's actually going to happen coming up next. All right, what's happening, friends? This week, we're going to talk about some foreclosure numbers. And I still hear people in the market saying, I'm just waiting for the foreclosures to come. The foreclosures are going to come and then houses will be cheap and I'll get into the market then. And I've continued to put out videos after videos after video about the data showing that foreclosures are not coming. And so here's one more. So I don't know if I sound like a broken record, but here's some data to look at that is going to illustrate. This is the number of foreclosures going back all the way to 2003. So if you look at prior to the big, this is the foreclosure bubble, right? That everybody remembers in 2009, 2010. Even way back prior to that happening, there was still about 200,000 foreclosures a year in the country. This thing jumped up to almost 1 million in that Great Recession timeframe, but ever since then, the number of foreclosures per year has been falling historically to lower levels than pre-2006 levels. And if you look all the way down to the COVID years where there was very, very few, right? We were in the sub 100,000 a year number of foreclosures. Very, very few foreclosures happening because of the moratorium. Even after the moratorium ended and we saw a little uptick, it's still historically less than it was back pre-COVID, which was a totally normal market, and still extremely lower than it was pre the bubble of 2006. And so there is no trend coming, there is no spike coming when it comes to foreclosures. And one of the big reasons behind that is if you look at the amount of equity that homeowners are sitting on today, because of the strong market that we've had, the reality is that most people have an extraordinary amount of equity in their home. And if you look at this chart, 68.7% have paid off their mortgage or have at least 50% equity. We're talking almost 70% of people have more than 50% equity or have their home completely paid off. And so the number of people, the number of homeowners out there that are even at risk is very, very small. And if you look at this number, the number of homes that have 0 to 9% or negative equity are like less than 2% total. Very, very few homes in America are in an area where they're at some type of risk of foreclosure or can't just sell the property and cash out. And that's what we're seeing, that we are currently out there reaching out to buyers that may be behind on their mortgage or having economic hardship due to what's going on in the economy, and letting them know that you don't have to get foreclosed on, right? If you're in a tough spot, you're having trouble making your mortgage payments, you can sell your house, and 90% of the time, you're gonna have enough equity to pay any fees, closing costs, pay off your mortgage, maybe some credit card bills, and still walk away with money because of the equity that you have in your home. So right now, there is no reason that folks get foreclosed on because of the appreciation over the last couple of years. Most homeowners have a ton of equity in their home. And so anybody who's waiting for a ton of foreclosures to come is just waiting for something that technically doesn't really exist, and there's no reason for it. I mean, really, you have to have your head in the sand to be in a situation where you get foreclosed on, because you probably have $100,000, $200,000 in equity in your home if you bought anywhere pre-2020. So unless you bought really right at the height of the market, 12 months ago, you may be at even equity and you may not have a ton of equity in your property. But if you put any money down, you could still sell the home and maybe lose a little bit of your down payment money, but still walk away with it without getting foreclosed on. So just some interesting data to consider. And if you're waiting for that flood of foreclosures, they continue not to come. And so if that's what you're waiting for, I would recommend you get off the fence and just consider getting into the market and buying when you can, when you're qualified, because that's going to be your best case going forward. So if you have any questions, you can always email me at dylan@buyabigisland.com. Put them in the comments below, or there's always a link to book a meeting if you want to have a discussion about your specific situation. I'll see you guys next week. Aloha.